I know you want to go home, but please go upstairs now. I promise I'll take good care of you here. Why are you making this so difficult? Pathetic, isn't it? I can't even save a single child. If you truly wish to leave the ruins, I will not stop you. However, when you leave, please do not come back. I hope you understand. Goodbye, my child. Squares. Small squares. A bunch of small squares squished together to make one gigantic picture. Are you getting the picture now? Do you understand? In the 1970s, our technology sucked. Okay, it didn't suck, but compared to our current technology in the 21st century, it was pretty primal. Back in the day, around 1957, some old dude who was a computer scientist named Russell Kirsch was like, dude, what if like my infant son was like a picture or something? And bada boom, bada bing, that crazy effer created a damn image scanner. Now this image scanner would take an image, pixelate it, and turn it into a digital image. In doing this, Mr. Kirsch was credited with creating the pixel, all because he wanted a picture of his son onto his computer or something. I don't know, it's pretty cool though. Pay attention, okay? Now what Russell didn't understand in the slightest is that the pixel would go on to help popularize games entirely in the 1970s. It was used to create games like Pong in 1972.
You're watching the most exciting game you will ever see on your TV set.
All the way to Space Invaders in 1978. By the 1980s, the Nintendo Entertainment System had completely taken over with 8-bit pixelated games like Super Mario Bros. And Zelda. And those are pretty niche games. I'm pretty sure none of you guys have ever heard of those before, huh? And by 1990, the 8-bit had already evolved to 16 and 32-bit with the SNES and the Genesis systems. At this point, everyone was like, dude, this technology is evolving so fast, I wonder what's next. Little did they know in the late 90s and early 2000s, a tiny little new art style you might have heard of called three-dimensional art style started to be implemented into, well, just about everything. I mean, they even gave us these little 3D glasses to watch movies with in theaters, and they just kind of hurt my eyes and gave me a headache, but that's kind of besides the point, okay? I hope you're having a good day today. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it's crazy to think that around 30 to 40 years ago, pixel games were the industry standard. But let's take it back to modern day now, little fella, because we're gonna have to have a conversation, alright? After 3D graphics started getting implemented, you would see a steep drop in the production of pixel games, especially in major studios. I mean, why the hell would these multi-million-dollar companies have the need to stay in the past when they could be chasing the next best thing? Now, in 3 dimensions, you can make any game you want. You can go forwards, you can go backwards, you can go up and down, you can look around in a circle. Why am I explaining 3 dimensions? You guys know what that is. Any huge game company who had built their legacy on creating 2D pixelated games moved on like they never even needed it in the first place. And just when the light of pixel games started to flicker and all hope seemed to be lost for retro feeling games, they were reignited by indie devs. Nowadays, using pixelated graphics for your games isn't considered outdated, it's considered a design choice. And in my opinion, I think it's a great design choice for many reasons. You see, many indie studios don't have the resources to make their dream games come to life in 3D, so what better way to make their ideas come to life than using pixel art? I mean, after all, it's cheaper, it's easier, quicker, and much better for small teams to work with. But don't get it twisted, this does not cheapen the final product, not at all. It can actually vastly enhance it in most cases. Have you ever been playing a gigantic open world game that feels kind of empty, soulless, or even boring with tedious travel, fetch quests, or even boring side quests that feel meaningless? Oh! Now don't get me wrong, I've played plenty of amazing open world 3D games that are masterpieces like Cyberpunk and even Zelda Breath of the Wild, but it seems to me at least that AAA studios just make open world slop to show off their new graphics and because they can, not because they actually have a meaningful or original idea to bring to the table. I think that's where the main difference between pixel games and 3D open world games comes in. Anytime I've ever played a pixel game, it's had an extremely clear and focused narrative with fun gameplay and it knows exactly what it's trying to accomplish. I think it has to do with the simplicity of pixel graphics as well. They don't have to worry about keeping up with the Joneses in terms of graphics because if you're making a pixel game, you're using a style that's been around for so much longer, which means you get to focus on other aspects much more like gameplay mechanics and narrative. To certain people like myself, pixel art has a truly timeless and charming aesthetic. Hear me out now because I am a young man, but I do feel a sense of nostalgia for pixel games anyway. I mean, most of the gamers who feel a ton of nostalgia for pixel games are much older than me, but the thing that has brought the same feeling to modern day gamers is definitely indie games. If you look at the gaming industry as a whole, it becomes clear that gaming has only been mainstream for around 10 or so years, which means the vast majority of gamers weren't even alive to see the original pixel graphics from the 2000s and earlier. As a 26-year-old myself, I can't truly understand it because I wasn't around back then either, but that's another reason to truly appreciate indie devs and various ways of going back in time to play these games, you know, maybe sailing the seven seas. But some of these games definitely bring back memories and make you feel a certain kind of way. Kind of like going to the bowling alley growing up and begging your parents for quarters so you could go play the pixel games on the arcade machines, or going over to your cool uncle's house and playing games that you've never even heard of on his old dusty NES. Like, am I the only one who's ever heard of the game Dusty Diamonds for the NES? It's one of the most nostalgic sports games of all time, and just games in general actually. This game came out in 1989, so it's obviously pixelated and has some kind of shitty graphics, but it just proves my point that even if it's a pixel game that doesn't look like much on the surface, there's probably more than what meets the eye. If you dig deeper, you'll find that this game, albeit very old school, has 60 unique characters and every single one of them has unique stats, making it so that your team can vary in terms of power, speed, abilities, and skills. Even though this game wasn't very well known, like at all actually, it had insanely deep gameplay mechanics and probably went on to inspire some other developers who had played it back in the day to make whatever game they made. Basically, I'm saying all that to let you know that even though the old school games that your lame ass parents are nostalgic over are probably much more deep and influential than they even know. You know, everyone had to start somewhere, and I guarantee the majority of your favorite game developers grew up playing some obscure pixelated games that you've never heard of in your life. One thing that I feel so many people get completely backwards is that graphics do not equal more fun. If a game has some flashy graphics that make your computer sound like a jet engine that's about to explode, it doesn't even mean that it's going to be better than Noita. Matter of fact, let's take Noita as a prime example. Noita is a 2D pixel game and it's unbelievably difficult, but once you get used to it, the Noita iceberg goes insanely deep. This game is so in depth that every single pixel that you see on the screen at any moment is physically simulated. This means that the world feels like it's alive and it's ready to fuck you up at any moment, which is the ultimate premise for a hard video game. The reason I bring this up is because Noita could never exist in any other instance besides 2D pixel graphics. I've played this game for over 190 hours and it feels like I've barely scratched the surface. Not to mention, this game is only just over a gigabyte of storage space, and if any 3D game tried to make a world this intricate, it could cost a damn near terabyte of download space and would probably turn your computer into some sort of nuclear bomb. Now, just because it's pixelated does not make these games any less beautiful than a 3D game graphically. It obviously comes down to preference, but pixel art can be absolutely breathtaking, and some people just make pixel art for a living in general. That's another thing about it that's so beautiful to me. If you want to make pixel art for a game, you can get by with something as simple as parts of Undertale, but the skill ceiling in terms of how good pixel art can get is really just never ending. I mean, just take a look at this game coming out next month called Replaced. I've had my eyes on this game for a while, and just look how stunning the visuals are here. They really turned Cyberpunk into a pixel game. It works beautifully in pixel graphics. Hell, some games even use pixel art in 3D, which is pretty uncommon, but I think it's awesome. It's called Voxels, and this is a game called Erosion that uses this, and this one's not out either, but I'm waiting for this one to come out as well. I just think voxels are kind of hit or miss sometimes, but it's a cool way of bringing 2D pixel graphics into a 3D world, so I don't know, it's kind of cool. Believe it or not, the invention of the pixel is the sole reason why we have any video games today, and without it, who knows if we would even have video games in general. You see, I've been seeing a common sentiment on the internet where modern gamers tend to completely dismiss pixel games, and I just think personally that's a bit close-minded, and it doesn't really make any sense to me. Don't get me wrong, I think it's totally fine if you don't play pixel games in general, but I believe it's kind of a major red flag when someone says, you know, pixel games suck, or it's just a pixel game, who cares? First of all, having that opinion while never have played them kind of makes no sense in general, but I want you to think of an alternative universe where Mr. Russell Kirst, the inventor of the pixel, had never wanted to digitally photograph a picture of his infant child using the creation of the pixel. This would be kind of a domino effect in the gaming industry because we would have never gotten 2D 2D games in the 70s, meaning we would have never gotten 3D games, meaning that we would never get to see GTA 6 in our lifetime. Well, we still might actually not get to see it. The jury's still out on that one. I'm still not sure. Either way, I suggest you straighten that attitude up, little pup, because it's time to respect your elders. The Pixel. And you know what? A little bit of respect goes a long way. Who knows? It could even be massive. And you know what else is massive? My favorite comment from last video. And as always, I really appreciate my beautiful niche community for tuning into the video about pixels. I don't know where I came up with this idea. I just wanted to yap about this because it's been on my mind lately, okay? Either way, you guys better have had a good day today, or else. Just know old Uncle Loki's always watching you, okay? Bye-bye.